Nigerians await the formal inauguration of new ministers who have been assigned to portfolios, over 40 of them. But that's not the only thing Nigerians are waiting for. Nigerians are also waiting for what these new guys, so to speak, will bring on board in changing the narratives and changing the status quo, making life more meaningful for the average Nigerians. From east to north, south to west, the story remains the same. Our roads are in bad shape. They are in terrible state. You can't travel anywhere. But these guys you're seeing on the screen, and many more of them you will see later, have been given the responsibility to change the fortunes of this country, working with Mr. President by virtue of their new status as minister designate, at least for today. By Monday, they will be pronounced ministers. What do they have in their history, pedigree, that they can bring on board to change the fortunes of this country is one major question that is on the lips of everyone. From the Minister of the FCT through the Minister of Aviation, Agriculture, Defense, the list is endless. Questions are coming forth back right. I mean, people are asking questions. For some, the ministers are square pegs in round holes. And for others, some of the ministers are actually square pegs in square holes. These and lots more we're going to be engaging in the next few minutes on the program Politics Today, reaching you live on independent television and radio. Remember, it's an audience participatory program, which means from wherever you're watching, across the country and across the world, you can actually be part of the conversation. You can follow us on any of our social media platforms at ITV Radio NG. We'll follow you back. Post a comment there, we'll share it. We'll open our studio line much later so you can also give us your perspectives on the issue. But always remember to be civil and do not cast aspersion on anyone. Let's meet our panelists for today on the program. I'd like to welcome very especially the immediate past member, House of Representatives, Eastern Northeast, Eastern Southeast Federal Constituency, Barrister Sergius Osasochi Ogun. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We also have with us here a constitutional and human rights lawyer. I'd like to thank very especially the National President, Human Rights Defenders Association of Nigeria, Dr. Kesley Omerabo, who is joining us via Zoom from Warri. Thank you, Barrister Omerabo.
Good morning, viewers. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Well, have with us here as well, Barrister Greg Iyayi, who is also a constitutional and human rights lawyer. Barrister Iyayi, thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for having me.
It's not a coincidence that all our panelists today are lawyers, maybe because of the constitutional nature of the discussion that we are having this beautiful Monday morning. As we make progress, we'll keep you up to speed with a full list of the ministerial designates by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For some people, a lot of the people that are there are known in terms of where they've been, what they've done, what they've achieved over the years. So what difference can they really make is a big question. But let's get into the nitty-gritty of our conversation on the show. Let me begin with you, Barrister Sergius Osasochi Ogun. This is a normal routine for the National Assembly to screen ministers, and then eventually some skate through, some didn't make the list. For those who didn't skate through, we're hearing that there were political undercurrents that led to that. What's your take on that as a starting point?
Yeah, well, it's natural. When you are nominated and you have to go through the screening in the National Assembly,
I can't hear you.
You should expect anything to happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they didn't go through, is either they didn't do the homework, which usually I know the president talks to the Senate president,
okay,
who will not talk to his colleagues,
okay,
to prepare the ground for the nominees to come in. I remember most people, the comment was that the senators were not hard enough on the nominees, the ministerial nominees, But like I think I said it in one of the programs that somewhere, that look, now you have APC majority in the Senate. And if you look at the way Akpabio, the Senate president, emerged, it was agreed that
That's like a consensus.
Exactly. So do you now expect those guys that voted, the senators that voted for Akpabio some few weeks before then, to now begin to antagonize him on the floor of the House? It becomes an Akpabio's game. So they want to collaborate with their Senate president to see the nominees through, and then to also do the president a favor. And the thing you also realize then, the committee chairmanship was not announced. So if you go to the floor of the Senate and begin to harass or antagonize the Senate president, most likely you are going to be a floor member. So that was another very quiet blackmail.
On the senators.
Oh yes, guys, fall into line and then let's do the needful for the president. And when the president is happy, he might send prayers to your email, which maybe eventually happened. Yes. The president probably sent prayers to the email of the National Assembly, and the Senate president did the needful.
Okay. Pastor Mero, but I was asking a question that some ministerial nominees didn't make the final list. In fact, one of the former governor, we're told, has rejected his earlier nomination. We're just wanting to find out, our takes on the processes involved in the screening of the nominees. That's the point we're looking at here.
Okay. Thank you. You see, the problem is that screening was really like show face and bow and go. When we talk of a thorough screening, we're talking of ministers who are going to serve in the Nigerian nation, not personal friends, not those who did well for us during the electoral campaign. We're looking at the pedigree of who wants to be a minister and what they want to do, what is it bringing to the table. By the time you ask somebody, you have to pledge, how did you manage to read law? And you say you have one I did not bring. Okay, you can bring him when next time you're going to come here again. No, that's a mockery, a monumental disgrace. And when you look at people you have appointed now, like USC, what have they got to do? We needed new laws. Okay, some states now, some of the ministers have been dropped, like ex-governor El-Rufai, and they are yet to have a minister. Some states have junior minister. The constitution forbids this. No state is inferior or superior to the other. No state can produce a junior minister while another state will produce a senior minister. It's not done. It's for constitutional null and void. I've been issued. I think what the president should have done, he has a pedigree. He's an experienced politician. He's been a governor. He's been a senator. He has what it takes to be the president. We voted for him. We expect much from him. Before appointing somebody to the ministerial position, you should have found out what you want to do with him. You asked Kayamo to go and be in aviation ministry. What has Kayamo got to do with aeronautical engineering? What has it got to do with space? What did you know about geography? You see, we have intellectuals in this country that can handle that, not lawyers. These are the things we do. Patronizing friends is not the issue. Instead of going to take the job, that was a good technocrat. If John went, man, it's just under 40. I'm very intelligent and energetic. Why would you have to drop her indirectly? Is it discriminate? No. Who wrote anything? Nothing. Then you now ask some people, some person money. Like my good friend, my classmate, Wike. Wike has been a minister. He was a governor. Now back as a minister. And then you ask him to go and manage the federal capital territory. I am not against it, but if you must give him something, you said he did very well in River. Let him be minister of works and let's see whether he can perform well. I know my equality side, but to go and make him minister of federal capital territory, what is the meaning of that? It's a concept of a government, and federal capital territory is a state somehow. So I the way most of them are being put there, like Brady said, some are red, some are round peg, the round hole. Whilst some are round peg,
okay, Omar, let me pause you. Let me pause you there. I'll come back to you in a moment. Just be attending. I'll come back to you in a moment. Let's get to it, Barrister Greg Iyai. Yes, the screening process. We saw majority of them bow and go. I don't know what they call it. Yes, you just come take a bow and then you go. So you were wondering, with all the promises that the Senate made about it being thorough, that even if it takes 3 days to screen one ministerial nominee, they will do it. Yeah, we didn't see that. We didn't even see 3 hours.
Indeed, I think the screening process was just a rubber stamp process, because I watch senators like Ted Cruz in the U.S. Senate, Shirley, Holly, and others, Kennedy. You know, the way they grill nominees, the background information that they source, you know, about the nominee before he appears before them, and how they tackle them with it. They put your picture before you. When you served in this place, this is what happened. When you served, that's what we call screening. And we want to find out whether the person is actually fit for the job that is asked to do. You are not doing the president. Let me say this. No one is doing the president or the nation a favor by just telling somebody who is not qualified to take a bar and go. Because by the time he fails in his job, you know, the president gets the blame. And that is what really baffles me. I felt that they should have actually, as they promised us that they were going to screen them, and they were going to screen them thoroughly. But we didn't see anything like that. And also too, I think the president presented unsellable candidates or nominees for. Why do you think someone like El-Rufai, with all he has said and done, will be confirmed by the Senate? If we were in a climate where we are saying such a person, his name should not even appear on the list, and there are some others who did a hatchet man's job in one way or the other in their previous appointment, and they were rewarded. You see, by the time we are rewarding mediocrity, and we are rewarding failure, and we are rewarding disloyalty, I think that's what we are going to get, because we can't expect anything too good from most of the nominees, because we know who they are, we know their pedigree.
Okay, Master Sergius, let's quickly look at the names that have been brought forth. There are critical aspects of the Nigerian state that is begging for aggressive attention. You're talking about power, you're talking about health, you're talking about education, you're talking about the economy itself, because we are saying now that there's a new debate about should we increase the price of fuel or should it remain the same. Marketers are saying, if you're saying that the forces of demand and supply are coming into play, we should allow it to be on its own. These are questions begging for attention. What's your take on those who have been assigned some of these key portfolios as far as reventing the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian state is concerned?
Well, like most people said, even my brother Amoerabo said a while ago, that so much was expected from this president. People have said the fact that, I've mentioned the fact that he knows how to talent hunt, head hunt for stars. But we haven't seen that now. And most people believe this cabinet is putting in place is for most likely re-election. It's anticipated that the best they can get out of the court is a rerun of this election. So he wants to put men there, especially governors who had sway in their states, that can work with the new governors to help him deliver those states. That's one. But most of them are tested. I look at somebody like Wike. Yeah, Wike is a lawyer, and we are told that as a lawyer, you can work, basically you can do anything. Because while you have been trained as a lawyer, you are trained in different fields. And you are told if there is a medical incident and a medical doctor comes to hire you, will you say, I'm not a medical doctor, so I cannot present the case? So I have seen the lawyers that they have excelled. Wike excelled in Rivers State. And by the constitution, Abuja is the state. So if he excelled in Rivers, why can't he excel in Abuja? And Umahi did wonderfully well in Ebonyi. He's an engineer. So let him go and reinvent the wheels in Ministry of Works. We know what is happening in Ministry of Works today, but I mean, I had not too pleasant experience interfacing with them with regards to projects in my constituency. So maybe like somebody like Umar, who came from the private sector, then was a deputy governor, going to a Ministry of Works might be able to re-engineer the way they do things there. So I think it's not such a bad ministerial
composition.
Yeah, that is put together. Okay. But let's just give them time. It also depends on the president. Don't forget that. You look at people like El-Rufai when he was in ministry, when he was in FCT. Look at Dora Akuyele, then Ribadu. Who made these people? Because they had a president who gave them a free hand to operate in Obasanjo. So let's see what Tinubu will do. You know, I think if you give them the encouragement, free hand to say, go out there and do the right thing, I will support you.
Okay.
They might just bring the best out of them.
Okay. Master Kester Honorable, I'm sure you followed up that line of thinking that many a times it doesn't really matter what you studied.
I was not hearing him at
Okay,
all.
so that's why I want to bring you up to speed. That's what I want to bring you up to speed now. That many a times people's performance is not really about what they study or what they didn't study. It's their personal courage, their administrative sagacity that they can bring on board. Otherwise, certain people shouldn't be in certain places. They should aspire for certain positions. Yes, because it will bring to question what they studied, what they've learned, what they carry, what they'll be able to dispense when they get there. What do you make of this? In line with some of the appointments that have been made now by the ministerial nominees composition. Yeah.
That is argumentative to propter hoc. That is what the Latin calls it, begging the question. You cannot ask a lawyer to go and manage their speech. For God's sake, we're in the country we have intellectuals. Are we short of manpower? How can you again ask a lawyer to go and manage petroleum? What are you saying? And I think the probably Spending law, practice law in Warri is a good friend, a good lawyer, a good legislator, was Speaker of Assembly, was a senator. Why are you asking him now to be a junior minister in a petroleum industry place he has no experience? Why don't you send it to the Minister of Justice? Okay, in my point as Minister of Justice, we agree. That's the spare peg, the spare hook. But when you ask some people to do, we are completely ignorant and don't have an idea of what they're going to do there. Are you going to send them on training? How long are they going to be there? So when anybody says you don't need to do what you study, that's begging the question. For example, I know that a person who studies education can go and contest for House of Assembly or House of Rep to go and make law. The truth is that making law does not require that you have to have knowledge of law. If you are representing a people to bring the idea of what those people will want in the national setup. If a person is representing Eastern or Eastern Central, Eastern West, and there is always telling them what to do for his people, it's not making law. But after the debate, the law is taken to the classroom where the guy can sit down and put it into the legal language and then pass it out from a bit to law. So definitely, if you do not have an idea what you have to do, you'll be there sitting down doing nothing. So definitely, when we are talking of intellectuals, we don't track it now. If my Mr. President actually want to work, we're going to ask somebody who has no idea at all. Like I keep saying, my very good friend, he's a sound lawyer, he's not a good of Nigeria. What have you done in space management? He hasn't had an idea. You don't want to read it to him. Take it away. Okay, why not send it to the labor? He's an activist. Why not send it to somewhere else? Then if you say it must not be what you study, then why are we studying a particular field? Why we study the field? For example, somebody who's a minister of education, yes, to be a professor who has gone through the principles of primary, secondary, university, and has even lectured in university. So he knows much more about education. So when we say we need a ramp and a round, we want the economy to move. But for example, I did talk about petroleum industry, the regulation, prices. I got slack. Why do we need, as if it is true we have removed subsidy, why are we still involved? But removed subsidy, then you have the regulator. Everybody can sell at their own price, where they buy with, where they sell. I don't want to go into this year 5 billion, which is enough to build even repair or refinery. The repair refinery. If Dangote can build his own refinery with 19 billion or 29 billion, you mean the 1 trillion we save cannot be 3 or 4? What are we? We are not asking questions. Nobody is talking Otherwise, in our days in school, we'll go into the street and shut down the country. You must be accountable to us. You said you slaved 1 trillion for just 2 months. And now you are sharing money. Just
Okay.
to who?
Okay.
And we cannot invest it.
Okay, Mr. Casey, let me pause you there. I'll bring you in a moment. Mr. Yai, quickly talk to us about the composition. At a time in our history and even globally where leadership is tending towards youths and all of that, we're not seeing much of that in the constitution of the new ministers that will be inaugurated by Monday. Is that of any concern to you?
It's a very serious concern. For instance, the Minister of Youth is over 60. I'm not saying that he may not have some ideas about youth management, but I feel that to give the youths a feeling of belonging, a more youthful person should have been there. Because is it that there are no qualified APC youths that would have been ministers or that are qualified to be ministers? Definitely there are. So why holding on to a man of that age, for that kind of thing? So this is what we saw. And it was not too friendly for the youth. I don't blame him. The reason I wouldn't blame him is that if you look at his age, and maybe many of the people around him all have made some contribution to him, because let's come to it, let's be very plain. This cabinet is a cabinet of rewarding those who work for him. Maybe later, when he feels that he has settled them, he might change the cabinet to a cabinet that will work for us. For now, is a kind of reward cabinet of those who were very instrumental to his emerging, in his present position. And I think that's all it comes down to. I don't think they are really, because if you are talking of ministers that will serve the nation, make impact, revolutionize things, and actually turn things around, it shouldn't be this kind of ministers, because many of them are recycled politicians, if you look at them. And many of them also, they did not succeed, if you look at their pedigree. So, well, they were useful to him. He knows how they were useful to him. And he just has to settle them. Okay. So that's what I think
All
it
right,
is.
so, Mr. Ugmo, quickly, you have a lot of experience with the oil and gas industry. And I know this debate about fuel subsidy removal, was on for a long time until the previous administration did, and the present administration made the announcement that it's been finally removed. What are your misgivings about where we are right now? Because we don't even know where we are going with the fuel subsidy, with all the back and forth that is coming forward. And this is a major task for the new executive council, so to speak. And Mr. President, as always the case, is still the Minister of Petroleum, because we're not aware a substantive Minister of Petroleum has been appointed.
Well, I think there is, I've always said in government, there is the hypocrisy of politicians. You remember when the APC government came in 2015, the price of crude oil was sliding. By 2016, they claimed it was going to about $29 to a barrel. So there was no money to do so many things and all. That would have been the time to deregulate. They gave impression they were deregulating them. Then the then Minister of State came back to say, well, that's when they went into DSDP. They talked about, there was no money in the budget for subsidy. They called it under recovery. It's all just grammar deceiving the people. But some of us knew we'll get to today. So when politicians spin anything, there's a day the whole truth will come out. So rather than say subsidy, because it was now not in the budget, they say it's under recovery. My thought then was take out the subsidy. If you had done it then when crude oil was $29 to a barrel, the price of refined product would have dropped. So then, that's when you'd have told people it's market forces. So if you're buying petrol then at 50 naira, 30 naira per liter, by the time it started inching up, the price of crude oil started going up in the market, and it's now affecting petrol at the pumps. Then you don't blame the government. You have gotten used to buying cheap fuel. They didn't do that. 2020, we were told during the COVID that we were begging nations to take our crude oil. So again, that would have been a window to completely deregulate, because refined product would be very cheap. They didn't take that. At a point, they gave impression they were making profit from importing refined products. So we are where we are today. We appreciate the president for removing subsidy, but the challenge is that it was not a properly thought through process. You are taking out subsidy without looking at how will the people take that effect. Now, it's Labour that is suggesting CNG to you. Buhari had a program, I think some 2 years ago, that would have helped to introduce CNG into the market. Even the then Minister of State, Silva, was talking about even converting individual cars to CNG, that the government would bear the cost of doing that. I suspected that, look, it will be again a way of stealing our commonwealth. But none of that even happened. So the challenge today is that, yes, you have removed the subsidy, but the citizens will have to survive. So you should have factored in certain things, which I think Jonathan did in 2012 when he removed it. There was palliative, there was shopping, there were so many things lined up to cushion the effect. These same people that are in government today did not allow that to happen. But there's only crying over spilled milk. My suggestion today is he has offered something that the NLC is criticizing now. 5 billion to states for food. What would that do? Again, we're going to go around that same circle of people just embezzling this money. Now, how many bags of rice will you send to my village? Like somebody was sharing this yesterday. How many bags? Not even a cup. Not even a cup will arrive in my domain. A cup will not arrive in my family. A cup of rice. See, it's another way again of just stealing money from the people. So my thought is, if they can aggressively pursue this CNG thing to bring down the cost, I believe by the time we start refining in the country, I mean, the refinery, Port Harcourt refinery, Warri, Kaduna, again, I really don't have much hope that those refineries will ever work well.
Why?
Now, we are talking about $1.something billion to fix Port Harcourt refinery. As a member of downstream committee, we went to inspect that refinery from 2 years ago. They were just blowing the heat exchangers. Nothing was happening. So, okay, they appealed to us where we are just about to start. That was like months after they should have started. The minister went there some time back. He didn't see anything. He made a comment that, oh, well, work is going on well and everything. Somebody said he asked the minister, but nothing is happening here. That's the minister of state. He said, okay, what do you expect me to say? So they told us then that this Port Harcourt refinery will come on stream first quarter. They said that before the elections. So where are we today now? We are in third quarter. It's not on stream. Even the president has said it will come on stream fourth quarter. Sitting down here today, I can tell you that will not happen. Dangote told us, don't forget, President Buhari told us that I'll go to commission Dangote refinery in May. The day he was commissioning it, I was on a program in channels, and they asked me, I said, the information I have is it's going to be fourth quarter or maybe even 2025. That same day, later that day, they said they will start producing in July. We're in August now, and no questions are being asked. So I do not see that refinery coming on stream even in the fourth quarter. Maybe it will in the fourth quarter, but at best 2025. So maybe by the time we begin to have locally produced fuel, marginally we'll make some savings, and maybe the price at the pump will come down a bit. But the truth is, let's be honest, let's bite this bullet now and take out subsidy, because the fraud in that value chain of the importation and dispensing to the depots and all is a whole lot. If we take all that out, we might make some savings that can the government can in turn put into the economy. During your introduction, you talked about the roads. I'm traveling today now. I'm scared to get into Benin using any route. You spend minimum 2 hours just to enter the city. Again, they are all federal roads. So maybe if we get this money and put them there to fix our roads, support farmers so that food will be cheap in this country. Maybe this poverty, we can take some people out of poverty.
Barrister Kesley Omerabo, one major talking point now is the 5 billion naira to states as palliatives to cushion the effect of the economy that we're in now. How realistic is this in terms of making the expected impact on Nigerians? Is this the best route to take as far as addressing this issue is concerned?
That is encouraging laziness and corruption. What will 5 billion do to who and for what? How do you distribute it? How do you identify the needy and the poor? How do you identify the actual population in the country where you don't have data? I don't get it. Okay, let us say for instance, my state, please, Obaseki, they give you, build something that will create employment. Don't share money. Just build a small factory. Just do something that we will look at, that the youth will be engaged, they will be employed. And forever, we'll remember you. If it's just one industry you can build, why can't we say we have grown to the extent that we now share cash? I don't understand what people have anymore. In terms of Samaluku, who would have immediately used that money to invest, that will bring another 5 billion. If 5 billion comes to you as no person, will you use it to eat? No. You will simply invest it. So we are going to the decadent level that we now share money. Then what do we share next month? What do we share next year? The general plan, what do we share? The sharing we are now doing, I think if at all we have such money, we should have invested it. But if it comes to the state, let the government be magnanimous enough. So if it's just a fruit processing factory in the hall, or in the where the fruits are, or even Pando Yam processing something, so that people about 400 people, 500 people will be employed there, and they will earn salary from life. It will be a pensionable job. Not every day we share. How can we share money? How do we do it? You give room to stealing, give room to corruption, give room to killing. Some people collect twice, some people say they don't get, there will be problem. So definitely that's a very lazy policy of government. I do not know who sold that government to Bola Tinubu, who's an experienced administrator, a very good man. How did he get to this level? Where are we? Where are we diverting to? This is the problem I have. Like I said just now, the minister has never resumed work. They will come to the office and cover that 5 billion have been shared. So who and for what? That's the problem we're saying. The minister from Edo State doesn't have a no, it's a minister for you. Did he hear you? Somebody above 70 is a minister for you. What does it have to do? Where are the student union leaders? What is the radicals who are you doing? Why can't Kayamo even be minister for you? You have an old man go and minister for you. Who are you? Have splitted it. No longer are you and culture. So what is he doing there? Which you this lady with? Are they going to be sharing money for them? The problem we have now is that we are no longer cohesive anymore. We need to sit down and discuss. We need a sovereign national cause. Because there's nothing going on in our country. Okay. And we are not talking. We don't need to fight. We need to sit down whether there's the necessity for us to be together. And then if those who make peaceful change possible, who make violent change inevitable, if they want us to run this country well, we should sit down and begin to ask ourselves whether we want to live together or we give our back. That's the truth.
All right, Mr. Omerabo, let me pause you there. I'll bring you on in a moment. Barrister Yaye, yes. Yeah, we are here now. It's all about changing the status quo, steering the ship of Nigeria in the direction it ought to go, yes, so we can actually feel the impact of government as well as the impact of governance. Another major problem that has bedeviled this country, has defied several efforts, is the challenge in the power sector. I'd like to get your perspective there, because a lot is expected of the new Minister of Power, as it were. Yeah.
Exactly. You see, I was thinking that by now we would have made some progress, but we haven't. And like we have said, we have to think of how we'll go forward. The issue of power, I don't think is rocket science or something that cannot be done. If countries around us like Botswana, Ghana, they have been able to deal with it. What is the issue about power? I think what it just needs is transparency. For instance, if all the money budgeted since Obasanjo's time have actually gone into making sure that power is stable, because you can't talk of the manufacturing sector when you don't have stable electricity. And then you talk of patronizing our own indigenous business people. When you are thinking of the cost of production, it determines the price. And you cannot sell the product to me that will be higher in price than the one from another place. I mean, free market forces. Honestly. And that is what has been really stunting our manufacturing sector. Let the government be transparent in getting the power sector, because let's come to it. If every government solves one problem, one major problem, as Obasanjo dealt with telecom, and then the next government comes, deals with another issue, I mean, we're on the go, and very soon we are home and dry. So I believe that the power sector, the new minister, and then like my brother has said, if the president gives him the backing, because like our great leader and then they once said, it's one thing for you to budget, it's one thing for the budget to be released, it's another thing for it's one thing for the budget to be approved, what is budgeted, and then what is released to you. Like he said, when they said they released 300 billion to him, that the Minister of Works, he shouldn't be walking free in the streets. He went to the National Assembly and he said, yes, 300 billion was budgeted, approved, only 120 billion was released to me. If you ask me a question on the 120 billion,
I can answer.
I can answer. They asked him, what about the other one? He said, I cannot answer for what I was not given. So if the president gives the backing and is really up and doing about it, I don't think it's an insurmountable thing. We can get there very, very soon.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sergius, the power sector has always been a major talking point, as I said before, as it relates to putting Nigeria on the trajectory of development. But we have seen over the years, successive government has not really lived up to expectation. Is this politics, or what is the problem from your interface with some of these ministries?
I think it's just the willpower to do the right thing. Now, the president is the Minister of Petroleum. Why not Minister of Power? The Buhari, okay, Obasanjo was Minister of Petroleum. I mean, he did fairly well. Obasanjo is the national treasurer. He's the national treasurer. So, he opened up the industry. He pushed so much money into power. I have a colleague in the APC from Kano, an engineer, who was even in the PhD, and then we were going for an oversight once in Kano, and he told me about transformers that they brought in from, I think from France, and that they didn't suit our climate. They're not supposed to work for that long. But people imported them in. Obasanjo pushed in so much money into power just to break that jinx, that we can do at least minimum 18 hours a day. But all that money went to the wrong hands because they were throwing money at the problems. But I haven't seen subsequent government pursue it with the same vigor. So, as petroleum minister, what did you do with gas? We have NIPPs all over the country. What did you do with gas as petroleum minister? So I think if we get the politics right, we will have power in this country. People still deliberately giving our contracts to cronies and party stalwarts for patronage, when we cannot, as a country, as a nation, move forward because there is no power in this country. There is no, like my brother said, there is no country in Africa, from Cameroon to Zambia to Ghana, that I have visited in the last few years, that have seen destruction of power the way I have seen it or experienced it in this country, in Nigeria. A colleague, a friend of mine, a journalist, was in Sierra Leone during the war. Then, he told me when they took light, and they were like, and some of their colleagues from Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leoneans asked them that, well, I guess this does not happen in Nigeria. And they laughed. Even during the war in Sierra Leone, they had more light in Sierra Leone than we usually get in this country. So I think if we get the politics right, power will work. It's not enough to throw money at the problem. We have gas in this country. How well have we used it? There are estates in this country that I know, managed by the oil companies. They use gas turbine. Their light does not blink, as in 24/7 in this country. But you don't even have that in Nasuru. So if we just get the politics right and do the right thing, I know because there are so many interests. Okay, like somebody said, why are we still importing generators? When you allow that to happen, people, those businessmen that are making so much profit from it, will not allow the power sector to work. In the days of Obasanjo, those that are traveling from Warri into Benin, you see the power line, you see the high tension dropping because Obasanjo was attacking it aggressively. So there was sabotage within the system. So if the day we get the politics right, we'll get somebody, not these ones now, somebody that is willing to say, look, I will produce to at least minimum 18 hours a day under 4 years. It will work. The one-child policy in China, it was not a sweet thing. Imagine you are used to having 5 children in a nation. And they say, look, we cannot manage our population. We must come down to one child.
Per family.
Do you think that was a sweet thing?
It wasn't.
You think it was easy? It was hard. But today, look at China. Everybody wants to go to China. We might not get the stats right now because they still say America is number one. The number one economy in the world today is China. Because they sat down somewhere and said, look, where we are going to, this trajectory will make us the poorest nation in the world. To turn it around, we must go in this direction. That's where they are. That's why they are where they are today. So what I think really, as a nation, we have gas. We can now. Fashola, when he was Minister of Power, he was talking about the energy mix. That is done everywhere these days. Even in Europe, you go to Ireland, they hardly see sun for up to 3 months. They are using solar. There's no reason.
Up to 3 months, they are using solar. How are they doing that? That's the energy mix.
Even Germany, there's no reason why we should be running generators in Meduguri. There's even no reason why we should be using generators to power street light in Abuja. But most states are doing it because somebody is getting the diesel contract, because somebody is supplying the generators. So we have to get the politics right. There's no way I installed a lot of, as part of my projects in the constituency, a lot of solar street lights in my constituency. Some have been working in the last 6 years, non-stop. From 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. they come on until morning, around 6 a.m. So why can't the state government, why can't the federal government tap into that? So today we are talking about energy mix. We have land. Why don't we have solar farms everywhere? So we have to get the politics right. I don't think the government is taking it seriously.
Okay. Mr. Merhaba, we're talking about the power sector. I'm sure you heard a little bit of that. Give us your perspectives on your expectations from the new minister, and particularly the government of the day, in tackling this problem before we open our studio lines for our viewers and listeners to contribute.
Are you talking about energy?
Yes, energy.
My brother, you see, I'm scared worried for this country. I don't know what my future children will get. Now, we said we have cut off the light of energy we are giving to the Niger Republic. Where is our own? We give to Cameroon, we give to the Republic of Benin. This is just 5 billion alone. We can use it to improve the power in Edo State. The artisan will have good job. The hairdresser will have regular light. Then the barber have a regular light. Then the poor mechanic and the functioner of the road will have power. Then there will be job. Why are we deceiving ourselves? Let me tell you, I was in Tokyo 1 year. We were an international human rights consultant. We went to visit where they are manufacturing generators. I was asking them, manager, my brother, I said that Western world don't use generator. I've been to Dubai, I've been in UK, I've been in America, I've been in so many places, I've visited the countries of the world. They don't know where your market. That this thing that major is just to be Africa and major market is Nigeria. And you know what? The major is important of that was our vice president there. I'm quoting it. And why? How can NEPA work? How can Bessie work? When they did the market for some other Even within 2 weeks, they have gotten their own power. They don't need us. And we said they are owing us. That country sit down. We have enough energy in our country. We are not distributing, we are giving other people. We said they are paying us. Who is collecting this money? If we improve our power, do we need more jobs anymore? If we improve just power alone, if that's your ITV now, I know how much you spend on diesel, everything. If there's power, you know the rate of advertisement will come down, then the rate of participation will come down. Many people would like to come there, but because they can't pay, even though I cannot come to your television, they can't pay because the cost of the maintaining it is high. So we really have people, men of goodwill,
okay.
who will improve this.
Okay, let me open our studio line. By Stammer, but just a moment. We have some of our viewers and listeners that would love to contribute to the conversation. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, by Stakesli Omerabo. Just hold it for a moment. The studio number is 080-7777-0300. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and then we'll get you on board. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
My name is Mr. Walker from Benin.
Yes, go ahead.
And the thing is that I just thank good morning, your panelists.
Thank you.
The thing is that the first thing about the power, and the way they are saying it is that it's like party. That's what they are doing us in this country. That's why we are not having light. If really we want to have light, those people that are importing generator, let them stop it. Let them ban the use of generator in Nigeria. Then if we are able to ban that one, then we will be on the right way. And again, too, that importation, because it's baffling that we are using our tax money to take our crude, and I will use our tax money to export our crude, and use our tax money to import our refinery. So it's somehow, but what I'm saying now, let all of them, including the president, to sit down and tell them this is what we want. We don't.
Okay, we'll pause you there so we can give others the opportunity. It's 080-7777-0300. That's the studio number. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Good morning, caller. Go ahead and make your contribution. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, tell us your name and where you're calling from. Okay, Elder, go ahead.
Yes, the general is that we don't have census of Nigeria. Since 2006, we don't know the number. Everything, whether light, everything, we don't know. I just calculating, doing this. We don't know the number of people we are working with. We don't know the number. Since 2006 to date, nobody. So we are just calculating the budget money they want to call, they want to do, they cannot do it. NEPA, they will not do. This one, they will not do. What they needed to do is to the number of people. How to prepare for people. And you by 10 people. Well, how are you going to make it? You don't count. In your home, you must prepare something. The first is that power, that you should know the number of people that are working with.
Okay. That's a good point. I'm sure the census activities will come on stream very soon. It was supposed to be, at the twilight of the last administration. I'm sure there were a lot of factors that they couldn't really sort out at the time. But let's see what happens as we make progress with the present administration. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name?
Good morning.
Please kindly turn down the audio level of your TV or radio to remove the echo.
Okay, good morning, my brother.
Good morning. Go ahead, please.
Thank you for what you have been doing this ITV. Let the president cease the refinery.
Okay, I requested you to just turn down the audio level on your TV or radio to remove the echo so we can hear you loud and clear. The echo is still there, and that distorts, the flow of our conversation. So you can call back to be part of the conversation. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name? Go ahead with your contribution.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from my
Yes.
name is Festus.
Yes, go ahead, Festus. Just speak up a little bit too as well.
Yeah, please, if they want to change the narrative, it's in the hands of our government. So this power of a team, government should do something about it.
Okay.
So that is what I want to say.
All right. Thank you for making it so brief. 08077770300. That's the studio number. Go ahead and dial it and be part of the discussion on politics today. Good morning, caller. What's your name?
My name is Julius. I'm calling from Benin.
Go ahead.
I greet all of you for your endeavor to make this country to work better.
Thank you.
If our leaders are ready for the country to move forward, the issue of being a minister, patrol minister, is not a problem as a president.
Okay.
But what have you put in place to cushion the effect? The previous administration, Buhari was the petrol minister. But throughout the 8 years, our refineries, no one has been put in place at the national level.
Yeah.
Now, the present administration is now a petrol minister, but how can those refineries be put in place as a Nigeria, as a case study? We took our crude, we took all the natural resources to other countries, but we cannot refine our products here in Nigeria. Come to light. We give light to Nigeria, give light to Niger Republic, but we in the country are suffering for light. We cannot even sustain our light. We cannot even provide light for any other artisans. So if whatever you have that you cannot even feed yourself, how can you feed other country?
Okay, that's a solid point as well. Thank you for your contribution. 08077770300. That's the studio number on politics today. Good morning, caller. What's your name and where are you calling us from? We're just on the verge of concluding the show. Okay, please go ahead.
The problem of Nigeria is that they are not serious and they are not sincere in their work. If I read that sincere, I know how much government put invested in labor or in power, but nothing worse. Let of people invest their money. We are talking of generator. We have no reason to use generator in Nigeria again. Because Nigeria is generating electricity that keep Nigeria for many years. Why I always feel that our leaders are not sincere. That's the problem we're having. If all of them come out and be sincere in their duty, we cannot be suffering or this are suffering in Nigeria.
Okay, our studio line, take our last call now, and that will be it on the phone-in segment of the program. Good morning, caller. Tell us your name, where you're calling from. 08077770300. Good morning, caller. What's your name? Good morning. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name? Go ahead with your contribution. Okay, looks like that line is jammed. We're calling it a wrap now, but let's see if we can take one last call before we call it a wrap. Hello, caller. Good morning. What's your name? Yes, good morning. Please turn down the audio level on your radio and television. Turn down the audio level on your radio and television. Okay, that's the much we have on the phone segment of the program as we begin to call it a wrap. On the final note, there's this conversation around the fact that all attention and complaints are usually heaped at the doorsteps of the federal government. What about states? What are they doing to ameliorate the plight of their citizens? Some of these roads that we're talking about that are so-called federal roads, there's not the people in Abuja or the federal government that passes it. It's usually the people that live in the states. Can't states do something about these roads for the sake of their citizens, as it were?
I agree with you. But you see, the problem is this. The federal government sometimes still behaves as if we are under the military. And that is why sometimes, even when some governors with good intention say they want to repair the roads, maybe for the purpose of not making it a political a campaign, they obstruct them. I'll give you an example. Ray Roya Okbewo, at a time, wanted to repair that Court of Appeal portion at Ipoba Hill. He was asked to bring the money. So he said, no, I have all the equipment, I have the personnel, I can do it. Allow me to do it. was told you cannot walk on the federal road without the federal government's permission.
Approval.
So this is the kind of situation we find. And I think what is really happening is that it's a constitutional issue that I feel needs to be
addressed.
That needs to be addressed. That the federal road is in the state. Why can't I fix it? Even if you say you are not going to pay me back.
Okay. Yes, what's your take on it? Because it's a raging issue.
Well, what we are experiencing in those states now is terrible because I use the roads. But it didn't have to get this bad for us to be complaining. The same question you asked, the taxpayers that use the roads, people trading on these roads, they don't pay tax to the federal government. They pay tax to the state government and maybe even the local government. So my take will be, if you have a bad spot, you have the controller of works, federal controller of works in Edo State here. And I think there's even a director. Let agree together for inspect and agree. Why they send it to federal? But for the fact you have all captured it together, go ahead and fix it. They are not going to stop you. I mean, by virtue of Land Use Act, you are the one that even gave them access to come and walk in the state.
On that road.
They won't stop you.
Okay.
You fix it. If they reimburse you, if they pay you back, that's fine. If they don't pay you back, for crying out loud, this is your state. When people apply this road, it's not everybody that knows that you are going through a federal road. And most of them are your people. They're those people that are applying these roads. The businesses on this stretch, on that road, they are paying tax to the government. So don't wait for it to get that bad before we begin to complain about federal roads. Fix it. When is it just a pothole? Fix it before it turns to a gully. And most of the drainages, why are they not cleaned? We can't be waiting for federal government to help us desilt the drainages. If you clear there, like I said, people using the roads, people doing businesses on that stretch of the road, they are paying tax to the state government. So let's stop crying and do the right thing.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to say big thanks to everyone that made the show a huge success, particularly panelists. Barrister Kesley Omerabo joined us earlier from Warri in Delta State via Zoom. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. And of course, Barrister Greg Iyai, we appreciate you. Barrister Sergio Sogun, thank you so much for coming on the program. That's our package today on Politics Today on Independent Television and Radio. You can follow the conversation on our YouTube channel. Post a comment there, share your thoughts, your opinions, your views, and of course, we'd like to see them. I'm Sonny Jikokosun. Thanking you for staying with us. Have a great weekend and keep praying for Nigeria. Bye for now.